the PR battle is what gets me. Like, I think people have to be careful not to believe everything they hear from Brendan Shanahan. It would be nice one day to find out what Kyle Dubas is thinking in his department and his side, how they felt about everything went down. But it is pretty crazy to see the timeline of how this all transpired.
It is. Well, it makes me think, let's get him on the show and have him break it down. He'll
He's
probably
not
be
going
on
to do it.
contract still. Nonetheless,
Yeah, he won't do it.
It is interesting. It makes me think that their relationship was frail and they were holding on by a thread, because from what it sounded like, and again, you broke down the presser for me, but it seemed like they were kind of, as of a few days ago, thinking this thing would probably extend itself and the relationship would continue, and things kind of fell apart at the 11th hour is what I got out of it. So very interesting. It would be amazing to know what happened, but it tells me that their relationship wasn't that solid. They were literally up in the air, and I don't think either one of them knew for sure what was going to happen up until everything happened.
Yeah, and that's the unique part about this whole thing. And as somebody who has been in the corporate world, I could tell you right now, just be careful what you believe from both sides of the spectrum. The obvious answer is probably somewhere in between. But just a quick genesis of what we heard from Brendan Shanahan. Like, I think the biggest thing to pick apart was the fact that on Thursday, it seemed like a resolution was in sight where Brendan Shanahan came out. And this is a Brendan Shanahan who never talks to the media, by the way, came out and gave a chronological timeline, easy for me to say, of what transpired in the last week since the Leafs were ousted in Game 5 by the Florida Panthers last Friday. And he broke everything down. Again, this is a guy who rarely speaks, never says anything. So the contrast in that was unique for me. But just the fact that Thursday night, he said that Kyle Dubas talked to him and said he wanted to return as GM, but then through a new package, a new contract. It's always about the money, Rosie. It always seems that way. Again, you got to be careful who you believe, who you trust in this scenario. Again, it's probably somewhere in between, but money had to play a factor in this whole situation, no?
Yeah, and I mean, it's easy to think of that and then go, well, I thought Dubas was a family man, and how much did he make this year? Well, geez, he wanted more, and it's like easy. Like, for all they knew, it was he got the year wrong. Instead of 3 years, he wrote down 4 years. You know, it could have been the smallest thing, and Shanahan's just looking literally to use anything to give to the public and say, here, take all this and unpack it. And it's like you say, you know, the corporate world, and you got to be careful how hard you bite on every little tidbit. But nonetheless, the fact remains is they were that fragile, and whatever that conversation was, the last one that they had before Shanahan decided, yep, I'm doing this, it was enough to sever the ties, man. And yeah, I would love to know what happened. Would love to be a fly on the wall for that and to see the timeline. Is it exactly what Brendan Shanahan said? And I don't imagine we'll really get the opportunity to hear from Kyle Dubas and hear what he said. But he doesn't strike me as the guy who would, you know, try to throw in an extra million and then I'll do it. You know, it would be a relationship first kind of thing, opportunity. Are we on the same page? And I think now it's proof that him and Brendan Shanahan just were not on the same page, or at least not close enough.